it's not about ever getting rid of the negative voices. Everyone has them. The Buddhist monk walking on the street, they have negative self-talk. They have automatic judgments that fly through their head too. Like we all do. Sorry, not sorry. That's what we signed up for as human beings, right? Yeah. But it's, but we still get to decide. Like something that I love doing is in those moments, for instance, like in those micro moments of just like kind of remembering the bubble analogy. Like they are their person, they're in their bubble. They're amazing, they're awesome, right? Whether or not they're my flavor, I like bless them. And I'm in my bubble, and my bubble can still stand tall in her confidence. I can still just enjoy myself and have a good time and shrug it off, just like if a sweet little innocent kid had said something quirky. Like we can practice forgiving ourselves in those moments, even if we're not even consciously doing it. And like we can still stand in our confidence. We don't have to take on other people's stuff, because so much of it too is completely a projection of our insecurity anyway.
Hello, beautiful people. Yes, I am talking to you. Are you ready to feel confident AF, free from the expectations and opinions of others, and create ultimate self-trust in who you are, what you say, and how you show up in every part of your life? If you answered a hell yes, I am, I guarantee this episode will empower you to be 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed. It's time for you to strut your stuff, express yourself with freedom, and fully embrace every freaking fabulous part of you. Let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another episode of Road to Radical Visibility. My name is Rachel Freeman Sowers, also known as the Break Free Bitch, because I am passionate about helping people just like you break free from the toxic social constructs, opinions, and beliefs that are holding you back from experiencing your life exactly the way that you want to. And if you've hung out here for very long, you'll know my professional and personal motto is being 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed. And you are in for a spontaneous, powerful, I want to say almost like combustion kind of like episode today, because my guest Samara Lane is here, and we are going to be talking about so many things that you are going to be able to be like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. Oh my gosh, yes, that's what I can do about it. And oh my gosh, I'm living the life that I wanted to be living that I never thought I could be living. You know, and so this episode is going to be fabulous. I cannot wait. Let me introduce my guest, Samara. Samara Lane is the self-trust queen. Now you know why she's on the show, because we have some similarities. She is a relationship anxiety coach and intuitive business mentor. She helps her clients restore self-trust through soul and spirit. So much love in that phrase right there. So they can enjoy unlimited prosperity and bliss in love, business, and in life. Please help me welcome my guest, Samara. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor, Rachel. Yay, so excited. Yes.
Well, we've already done this one time. I was a guest on your podcast. I'll put the link in the comments below. You'll also be able to view it on the YouTube channel and in wherever you listen to your podcast. It was a fabulous discussion. It was so energetically aligned. Well, at least I felt it was.
100% it was.
So that's why I was like, oh, let me have you on my show, because this is going to be just as good. Okay, Samara, you know the first question I ask every one of my guests on this show is, what does radical visibility mean to you?
Oh, it's such a good question. And it's a great one because it really makes you think. And I have allergies today, if anyone sees me wiping my eyes.
Me too. I don't know what's going on.
I'm crying with joy for being here and gratitude.
I just want to thank me.
Thank you, everybody. And it's such a good question because it really makes you think. And so when I sat with this, what came to me was radical visibility isn't just showing up on Facebook Live or showing up in your community or posting the thing. Radical visibility is showing up more authentically than than your knee-jerk reaction would feel safe doing. Honestly, that's what it is to me. Like, are you going to push the edges of what feels comfortable? It's in a respectful, uplifting way, right? But like,
Right.
are you going to share the behind the scenes and the good days and the bad days, right? That traditionally we're kind of told to, no, stuff that down, don't talk about that. And that's, yeah, being all of you, really what you teach, Rachel.
Well, what both of us teach. I mean, part of self-trust is that getting to know ourselves, and getting to know ourselves is going into those deep spaces where it is often, for me in the past, felt really scary to go there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yes. And you hit the nail on the head. Self-trust it's first knowing who we are. Who are you? Who are you not? And really getting more clarity around your values, your purpose. What is your mission? What is your dream life looking like? And then will you, because of course you can, but will you keep taking courageous steps and showing up? And that's where, in the moment-to-moment day-to-day life, that's where our mettle is really tested, right? Are you going to trust yourself and set the boundary, or ask for what you need, or fill in the blank?
Well, and really dare to live your life the way you want to, right? That courageous step that you just were talking about. The courageous steps, some people say, oh, it's not courageous. It's, this is just what I'm doing. This is just how I'm interacting. And that, I know that I've worked really, really hard and done some really deep work. What is the healing deep work that you've done to reach the point where you're at?
Yeah. Like in my own life, my own inner work, my path. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, where do I start? It's been a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. And so far I have yet to meet someone who does feel naturally confident and trusting in themselves, who hasn't done a lot of work around it in some way, shape, or form. Even the people that were like, oh, I kind of always felt confident in myself, they've had shit happen, right, in their lives at some point. So for me, it's been, when I'll just kind of give a little bit of backstory real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was little, I was highly, highly sensitive, of course, still am. And learned people pleasing as a coping mechanism, learned to be quiet, good little girl. I was like, oh, you're such an easy child. I was that kid. But inside I was kind of suffocating, right? And that was very conflicting, to have your self-betrayal of like, shut up and be quiet and don't ruffle feathers, to then also be praised by culture and society, right? Because then it's like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to do this. Yes. I got a lot of anxiety and depression that came up a lot in like puberty, those years. Oh my gosh, those years are hard for everyone. And did a lot of addictive and self-destructive behaviors through teenage years. Even into my early mid-20s, I was like drinking every day. I was like, I literally, before I got on this podcast, a piece of paper, an old note from one of my coaches and counselors from years ago, amazing woman. It fell out of my journal as I was moving my journal. Of course, I was like, okay, well, this didn't fall out by accident. What does it say? Right. And it was me writing down all of my understandings that all my realizations and ahas about my drinking addiction that I used to have. Now I can take or leave alcohol. It's not a thing for me. It's like not at all a thing. But I was writing down on that page, and that was in my 20s. I mean, that was maybe 10 years ago. I was writing down like, I don't think people will like me without alcohol. I don't feel like I love myself or feel confident without alcohol. I want to be able to not need drinking, and I want to be able to love myself without drinking. But to me, I literally wrote down, not drinking ever again sounds like dying. That's how bad it was. And so the inner work journey, what actually helped me, some of the very first things that helped me really start getting serious about my inner work was the fact that I got relationship anxiety, and that's something that I'm so passionate about still teaching, because I was like, this fear seems really exaggerated based on the situation. You know what I mean? Like it was like I was proposed to by my partner who, like, I had every intention of staying with him indefinitely. We were having like a great life, a great relationship together. It was not perfect. Our relationship was definitely not perfect. There were kinks to work out. And hindsight is 2020. Of course, I can see now also things were not together anymore. But but I knew like there's something else going on here. Like, right. And I started that journey of getting curious about what is I didn't know relationship anxiety existed. I was like frantically Googling like everyone does, like, why am I so scared of marriage or whatever's going on?
Yeah.
And that taught me to start, really discerning between what is really me and what is just the fear. Taught me to start looking into inner child work. I was very resistant to that at first. Inner child work has been huge for me. Journaling, automatic writing has been huge for me. I was really into both the psychology, like cognitive behavioral therapy and challenging old beliefs, and really being mindful, like choosing our thoughts and really deeply feeling our emotions. Like Tara Brach has been a huge influence on me. Cheryl Paul has been a huge influence on me. So many others, Gabby Bernstein, Marianne Williamson, the list goes on. My own mother, spirit, God, universe. But a big piece of it for me was too, like, what is the fear and what is really me, aka what is my intuition, what is my inner guidance, what is right. And so that's been a huge part of my journey. And so there's not been one thing. That's a very long answer to your question, but it's not been one thing, right? It's been this journey. It's been these layers. And over time, even me starting my business and helping people with relationship anxiety, I had so much imposter syndrome at first. I was like, who am I to teach this? I'm not perfect. And that built so much confidence. So one of the biggest things I will say lastly here is, like, one of the biggest things that have helped me push through this isn't just the emotional and cognitive, healing work that I've done. It's, again, taking the steps, right? You don't feel confident and then go start your business, or then go jump in and get married, or then go become a parent, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? All you need is courage. Again, one of my other mentors, Kelly Moriarty, I heard her share this once. It's like all you need is courage to take the first step, to start doing it. Confidence is learned. Courage is actually what we're looking for, not the confidence. Confidence comes naturally over time, right? So it's by putting myself out there, that is what has taught me the most, taught me what I'm made of, taught me what we can all do, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, like, wow, I so resonate with you on, it's not just one thing. I mean, I always joke, I like have 3 tool belts deep of all of these coping skills that I've used as a neurodivergent person, as a woman, as a woman in midlife, as a therapist, as all of the things, right? And it's kind of like that. I think everything is just taking us back to knowing ourselves.
Yes.
And really knowing what fits you, and having, like you're saying, the courage of heart to be like, no, this is how I want to be interacting. This is how I'm meant to exist in this world. And I'm not compromising that anymore for really anything. I mean, like, we can adjust it internally with ourselves. So, I mean, this brings up like an interesting topic, and just get really real here. I mean, we're real here all the time, but I'm just going to break it out right now. So when we got on before the recording, and Samara was like, how are you? And I was like, oh, I'm good. And I was like, well, probably not really, because I have all these menopause symptoms. I'm doing all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm human. Everything's happening, right? Life is still happening around us. And how knowing ourselves can be that moment when we say, well, what do you really want to know? Do you want to know the real truth, or are you just asking me for this kind of like, oh, I'm fine? And the courage to say, I'm not fine. Yeah. When everyone else around us, and I've done therapy with people for a really long time, but especially in relationships, not being able to feel like you can or know what you want to say, and have that ability to be like, no, that isn't what I want.
Yes.
The anxiety and stuff that comes with it, especially if you're a highly sensitive person, people like we are. So talk to me a little bit about your experience of, guess some people call it like dimming their shine or whatever because of someone else. And you just do those micro
Yes.
betrayals, self-betrayal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know this is a
That's
big
so true.
topic.
It's so big, and I'm so excited to talk about it. And yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, like you said, is actually those micro interactions that we have throughout our day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other day, like just this week, I met up with some family that was moving, and so I met up to help them. And like the leasing agent person, or somewhere where this person was moving into, the leasing agent person was standing outside, and I walked up and we met each other for the first time, um and she was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm pretty good. Like, do you ever have those days where you feel hormonally handicapped?"
Oh,
And she had
girl.
this look in her face like, "I'm not really sure what you're saying." And I think it was like, I don't think she did know what the hell I meant. Maybe, or maybe, and I thought it was so interesting and immediate. And so either she just didn't really know what I meant and was curious to learn more. Maybe she was like, "Oh girl, I totally get you, but like I'm have my professional hat on right now, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like I just met
Yeah.
you. I don't know you, stranger." Telling me about your hormonal handicap.
Like, I don't think I can reveal that to you right now, you know?
Totally, which is completely fair. And it doesn't matter. But in the moment, then I totally noticed, like, even though I felt confident and I was having a great time, it wasn't a big deal. I did notice that little voice in the back of my head, kind of
Mm-hmm.
wanting to chime in and be like, "Oh, you embarrassed yourself, or you shouldn't say things like that. That's unprofessional, blah, 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it's not about ever getting rid of the negative voices. Everyone has them. The Buddhist
Mm-hmm.
monk walking on the street, they have negative self-talk. They have automatic judgments that fly through their head too. Like
Mm-hmm.
we all do.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry. That's what we signed up for as human beings,
Yeah.
right? But 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 we still get to decide. Like something
Mm-hmm.
that I love doing is in those moments, for instance, like within those micro moments of just like kind of remembering the bubble analogy. Like they are their person, they're in their
Mm-hmm.
bubble, they're amazing, they're awesome, right? Whether or not they're my flavor, I like bless them. And I'm in
Right.
my bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and my bubble can still stand tall in her confidence. I can still just enjoy myself and have a good
Mm-hmm.
time and shrug it off, just like if a sweet little innocent kid had said something quirky. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can practice forgiving ourselves in those moments, even if we're not even consciously doing it. And like we can still stand in our confidence. We don't have to take on other people's stuff, because so much of it too is completely a projection of our insecurity
Yep.
anyway.
Yep.
Right? Like you see how my mind immediately was like, maybe she thought this, maybe she thought that. It's like, I'm not a mind reader. I have no idea what she thought.
Mm-hmm.
And right. And it may have been something super positive. But so there's so many of those times where I feel like these are opportunities to, I don't know if this answers your question, but I feel like these are opportunities to pause and notice, what is our relationship with our own thoughts in these
Mm-hmm.
situations, with our own emotions, with our own energy, because it's really about us. It's not about them
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Well, I
And so
love
we
that.
can come back to that self trust. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that answer because the more we do know ourselves and we're aware of, in your words, like what's in our own bubble. When you're aware of that, it's not even, on some levels for me, it's not even needing to forgive myself, but to say like, "Oh, hey, like this is how I want. Like I am being the person I want to be in this moment." And
Yes.
it takes a lot of growth. It takes, I firmly believe, it takes a mentor to help you to get to these spots, because I only know
Yes.
what's in my own head. Even at this point in time, doing all of this work, you've done all this work with hundreds of people. Together, we've helped thousands. Thank you.
Yes.
But we still only know what's in our head, and we want to move forward in that next level for us and help more people. And so it does almost equal, if I know myself and I can be good with myself, I'm no longer threatened by someone else's potential, what they think of me, what they think of the situation, if they think it's professional, unprofessional. I spent the majority of my years rebelling against what is seen as professional because for me it wasn't real, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not doing that because it doesn't make sense to me. And it's not an easy place. Even I still have those thoughts on LinkedIn. Like everyone's like, do your LinkedIn profile like this. I have a freaking unicorn and a rainbow on my profile. I'm like, well, no one's going to hire me. And I was like, wait, hold up. That's not the truth.
Right. Because you didn't come into this world believing that. That's not your truth. That's someone else's bullshit borrowed truth, right? Like it's not even ours. And I thank you for saying that. I want to be very clear. It's not about forgiving ourselves because we did anything wrong, because you did nothing wrong. It's more so forgiving the thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Forgiving the old pattern. And that's not even you.
Well, and that's just like too, watching in a meditation or a visualization, watching it go by on that reader board and being like, oh, there you are. See you later. Oh, there you are. See you later. Right. That's what's
exactly.
like,
yes.
So in all your work in relationships with anxiety, what is the main thing you have found? Okay. This is a 2-part question. What is the main thing that you have found women struggle with the most? And what is the main thing you have found that men struggle with the most?
Ooh, juicy question. This is really good. And yes, I have noticed patterns here, Rachel. Let me tell you.
I would expect nothing else.
Yes. And I've even and there can be crossover too, but of course, right? But what I've noticed is, number one, for women, the theme of the anxiety usually tends to be more centered around feelings, okay? Like, am I really in love with them, or are they really in love with me, or what if they cheat on me, right? Or because there's kind of two sides to the anxiety coin, as I say. There's the what if I'm not enough, and there's the what if my partner isn't enough. They both actually do stem from the I'm not enough story, like what if I can't trust myself and I choose wrong, but they kind of show up in two different ways. And so, yeah, it can be around like, do I love them enough? Is this the right choice? Da 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 da. Right? Do I feel enough connection? Like it feels different than it did in the beginning, or it never felt good. I never had a honeymoon period, so maybe they're not for me. Like these are some of the kinds of things, right? Or sometimes I don't feel safe around them, even though they are a healthy, loving partner. And so that feels scary. Am I gonna, being vigilant, hyper vigilant around like feeling safe, which totally makes sense for women. For men, they still struggle with the, am I choosing right? Like, is it really supposed to be this hard? Like, does doubt mean don't? They can still, like, that's universal with relationship anxiety, but it actually, they are more likely to hyper focus. Their anxiety is more likely to hyper focus on, is she really attractive enough? And so right? Like, is she hot? Does she look great in that picture? Oh, she's gained some weight. And they feel so guilty. There's so much guilt and shame around having those thoughts on both sides. There's so much guilt and shame around having those thoughts. They don't choose those thoughts. They don't want to feel that way. And they beat themselves up for being shallow and superficial and an asshole, right? And it's like, and again, there's total crossover. It's not just, gender confined, but it's very fascinating, right? You can hear the different cultural, societal conditioning that each person has had.
I love that I love that you answered the question. I mean, definitely there are patterns on each side of the male and female side, but at the end of it all, we're all just human. And as you know too, in me working specifically with LGBTQ plus and non-gender conforming individuals, this is where we do see an overarching kind of archetype, and how in me working with some gay men compared to lesbians in relationships, compared to non-binary, and people finding how to break free from those gender conformities that we've been given since we were young. And knowing that none of us came out of the womb, like you said, asking for any of this. We didn't, please let me self-shame myself. Please let me feel like I'm not enough my whole entire life, and let me keep doubting it until I'm like 51 years old or however long. And you know what I mean? Like everything is kind of teaching us to do that to ourselves. And that is really where this, you know, the not enough, all the stuff stems from, because it doesn't stem from inside of you, my friend. Samara and I are here to tell you it doesn't, and it can be removed, and we can't wait to help you do that. However that is, whether it's listening to this podcast 15 times, knowing that it's not you, whether it's reaching out to Samara, whether it's reaching out to me, whether it's saying, I'm going to plant this seed of doubt that says, I don't have to be this way. I don't have to feel this way. I can be myself. I can trust myself. And, you know, this soul and spirit, like Samara says, and I'm just saying completely 100%. And people say, Rachel, how do you trust yourself 100%? It doesn't mean I don't say it to myself, what is it that I'm really wanting here? What is it that I'm wanting to do? What is it? Again, I just always say, how is it that I want to be interacting? I go through these processes, but the fact is that when you walk yourself through this process, when, like you're saying, for your clients that you've helped, and I've read some of the testimonials on your website, just FYI, I was like, yes, yes, yes to all the things that were on there.
Thank you.
So wonderful. You know, really saying I can trust myself to walk through any process independent of what it is that's going on. And that really is the 100% trust, right?
So true. I love that. So true. I have doubtful thoughts sometimes, and I know how to quickly see it for what it is and take myself out of there. Now, if I'm really hungry or really tired, that might feel harder, right?
If I'm in the middle of a hot flash,
yes, right. If we're feeling hormonally handicapped, aka, whatever, menopausal, or it's that time of the month or whatever, right? And men are ruled by their hormones too. Like everyone is, non-binary people. And so like I don't even know who we'd be without hormones, because they run so much shit in these bodies. It's insane. But it's in those, it's allowing that to be okay, right? We don't have to feel guilty or shameful about that. We don't have to, it doesn't mean that like, oh, you're still broken, you got to go heal a bunch of things. It's like, no, you're still human. And so it will pop up, and you get to be gentle with yourself and come back to, what do I choose? What do I value? What really does resonate with me? I love that.
Yeah. That self-compassion that you're talking about. I mean, it's huge, right? And allowing ourselves to witness ourselves through those lenses is such an important thing that we each can learn, to do even more of. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's enough hate, there's enough stuff trying to bring us down, and we don't need to have false positivity, because if you're looking for that here on this podcast, this show, you're not going to find it, because we don't.
I love that.
It's like total toxic. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, yes, we're doing all this great stuff for, let's just say, the LGBTQ plus in my community. And oh my gosh, we got to do a flag. Yes, we did. But the fact of the matter is that it's going to be washed off the sidewalk. And then what?
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough. And so I feel like you and I are here freaking rooting our asses off for people to just see the beautiful people that they are. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And I just love that so much. And, like I think of some of the trans clients I've had, and, or non-binary trans. And they're like, it's a whole other level of self-love work when literally a huge portion of the entire planet denies your existence, the validity that you are even real. Like, how's that for a head trip, to put it very nicely. So it's I'm so grateful for the work you do, Rachel. Yeah.
Well, I think
it's fucked up.
I think that's our energetic connection, though. I really, truly feel the same for you. Like, and we haven't known each other for a long time. I reached out to her on this podcasting group that we're in. We did the thing, and it's just like having that ability to feel so grateful for someone else that does similar work, that reaches similar audiences. You know, I had this last month during Pride Month, had so many people on the podcast. And I've never gotten so much hate for my podcast as I did in this last month. And
wow.
It's like, eyes need to continue to be open and not very many people listen to this podcast, that have the hate. It's like the snippets you see online and stuff like that. But if you are someone that has a very negative disposition towards other people, I just want to tell you that comes from inside of you, and that's about you and your fear, and treating people in the way that, because of your fear, is no longer allowed here, like in this space, you know. So you can just keep on scrolling or whatever, but I feel like that is going to be a message I'm saying all of the time now, because trans people are human. They are human. They have hearts, they have souls, they have spirits. They deserve to be in this world exactly the way that God made them, and that's all and nothing else. Right? It makes me emotional, because it's not okay. And I think this is where we are really working hard to step in and break apart these systems, like little thread by little thread, taking our itty bitty scissors and being like, nope, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thread at a time, and one thread, like the sidewalk, right? Like one thread isn't enough, but the more people, we're all doing a thread. We're all doing a thread here and a thread there and a thread here and a thread there. And it is adding up, and it does matter. And we are progressing, even if it feels like one step forward and two steps back sometimes. Like, we are getting there. I mean, honestly, the louder the haters get, the more we know we are getting there, right?
So tell everyone how that they can find out about you. They can learn more. All the information will be in the episode description also, but let us know.
Yeah. And thank you. I just, I'm gushing right now. I just am like, this, you're amazing. Like we're obviously each other's flavor, right? Like, we just so vibe, such an energy. And I just get such an amazing energy around all the projects you do, all the people you help. So, like, thank you again from the bottom of my heart for just getting the opportunity to know you. I know we just recently met each other, and to be here. So where people can find me is online, of course. So samaralane.com is really the easiest. Everything is there. samaralane.com. You can check that out. Lots of things about relationship anxiety, and tons more resources on there as well.
Yeah, so follow her. She's on TikTok. She has the Insta. She's got the Facebook. Go to all the places. Ever since we met, I've been watching your content, watching your stories. Thank you so much for helping the people that you help. Thank you for helping people really learn how they want to be in a relationship by trusting themselves and allowing themselves to just be there and be complete, whole, and perfect just as they are in that space, and learning how to do that. So such a gratitude for you also. I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll be together on a podcast, either yours or mine, or maybe even a project, who knows. But again, thank you from the depths of my heart. My audience is going to really love this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and end this episode like I end every single episode. Please make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within all of you. We will see you all on the next road to radical visibility. Until then, bye. Hold up, don't go yet. If this episode inspired you to be 100% yourself, 100% of the time, no shame or guilt needed, even just that little bit more, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. I'm here, and I know you are too, to make a positive impact in the world. So don't forget to share the love. And if you were left wanting more of this type of kick-ass content, then don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. Until next time, make sure to stay true and be you. Until then, bye.